Are you feeling a bit anxious about tackling your tile project? Well, don't worry, we've got you covered. In today's video, we're going to guide you through every step of laying large format tile for the very first time. By the end, you'll be confident and ready to tackle your project with ease. Start by evaluating your subfloor, as it will determine how you need to prepare your surface for your tile. Your subfloor should be clean, dry, and level for best results. We're dealing with a unique situation here. The entrance portion of the hallway is plywood covered in wood adhesive that we have been struggling to remove, so we had to sand it flat. The rest of the floor is gypcrete, a light version of concrete that acts as a fireproof barrier between floors. Fortunately, both sections are flat and level, allowing us to move forward to the next step. To strengthen and unify these two types of subfloors, we're using a metal lathe. In our previous video, we used it to level the kitchen floor before installing tile on. However, in this video, since the floors are already leveled, we're using the lathe as a rebar in the mortar to reinforce the floor joint between the two types of subfloors, and as a spacer to match the height of the kitchen tile and the wood floor in the adjacent room. This approach will require more thinset, but will provide us superior strength and stability for the tile in this high traffic area. In fact, this method proved to be so effective that it survived a 4.8 magnitude earthquake we recently experienced here in New Jersey, while located just a quarter mile away from the epicenter. Next, we trimmed the door frames on all the doors in the hallway to fit the height of the tile, accounting for the height of the mortar underneath. This allows the tile to slide underneath the trim for a uniform look. With the hallway completely prepared, it's time to dry fit the first row of tiles. We started by laying the tiles across the hallway to see how they would interact with the wall on the other side. After confirming that starting with the full tile was fine, we moved on to dry fitting the tiles left and right, matching the pattern in the kitchen using a laser level. A laser level is an incredibly useful tool for any tile job, and you should definitely have one in your toolbox. Check out the one we used in the description below. The wall on the right is slightly bowed, so we dropped a piece of molding over the tile gap to confirm that it will be covered by the molding as expected. At this entrance to the living room, the hallway tile will transition to hardwood floor, so it's crucial to have a plan for this transition, ensuring a uniform finish across both types of floors. We decided to use a multifunction T-shaped transition molding. It's made of color match vinyl and is super easy to cut and install. After cutting both ends and finding the final location of the transition molding, we marked the tiles and cut them to size. We also installed a strip of spruce where the transition molding rails will sit for reference. With the floor transition complete, we called it a night and went home to get some rest.
The next morning,
we labeled and removed all the dry fit tiles and got to work on actually laying some tile in the hallway. It's very important for success of this project to research and apply the right mortar for the subfloor you have and the size of the tile being installed. For our 12 by 24 inch tile, we went with VersaBond LFT gray fortified medium bed mortar. LFT stands for large format tile, which refers to any tile that has at least one side larger than 12 inches. Be sure to carefully read and follow all the instructions and precautions on the mortar bag. I also highly recommend mixing only enough mortar to be used within 30 minutes. Any longer than that and the mortar will start setting up and losing its strength properties. For reference, in the beginning we started with about half a bucket and worked our way up from there as we got faster. Another important tip is to always use the type of trowel recommended on the mortar bag. Spread a 1/4 inch coat of mortar on the surface of the installation area. Use the trowel to work it into the metal lathe. Next, use the notch side of the trowel to comb the mortar into standing ridges by holding the trowel at a 45-degree angle. Remove excess mortar, leaving a uniform ridge setting bed. Then grab your tile and bag butter the back of it to increase the adhesion between the tile and the mortar bed. Remember, don't spread the mortar on the area larger than you can set in 15 minutes. If it's your first time, take it one tile at a time until you get comfortable, and then gradually increase your immediate work area. As you may have noticed, we have a marble threshold between the kitchen and the hallway. That is due to a last-minute design change. Originally, this hallway was supposed to have the same hardwood floors as the rest of the unit. However, after considering the high traffic at the entrance and people coming in with wet and dirty shoes, we decided to upgrade this hallway to tile. Since we had already cut the tiles near the kitchen doorway, this marble stone was a perfect fit as a floor transition in this area. Let me know in the comments below whether you like this design choice or not and why. I'd like to take a minute and address a point of debate from my previous tiling video regarding the direction in which you should trowel mortar. While conventional advice is to trowel in the shortest direction of the tile, I personally prefer troweling in the long direction. The rationale behind troweling in the short direction is that it can help air escape more effectively when the ridges of the mortar are collapsed, potentially improving adhesion. However, consider this. If the tiles were squared, like 24 inches by 24 inches, troweling direction would not matter much since both sides are the same length. For a rectangular tile like ours, 24 by 12 inches, the difference in the direction is not significant. In my opinion, troweling in the long direction does not seem to adversely affect the mortar's ability to bond. If troweling directions were so crucial, I would expect to see a significant issue with adhesion and coverage on larger square tiles, but that's really not the case. So I believe that troweling in the long direction for rectangular tiles doesn't create a major issue. What are your thoughts on this? Feel free to share them in the comments. Plus, I don't know if you've heard, this tiling method survived a 4.8 magnitude earthquake, so we must be doing something right, or maybe I'm just really lucky. You be the judge. Another crucial step in laying tile is to keep your grout lines nice and clean. As you lay each tile, it's essential to immediately address any excess mortar that seeps into the grout lines. This can be accomplished by using one of the yellow wedges to carefully remove excess mortar from the grout lines, and then gently wiping the tile surface and grout joints with a damp sponge. Most of the time I'm using my hand, but you should do the right thing and use a sponge. Doing this as you go will prevent mortar from setting up and hardening in the joints, which can make cleaning joints much more challenging later. By maintaining clean joint lines throughout the tiling process, you ensure a neat appearance and avoid spending extra time and effort removing dry mortar. This proactive approach also helps to achieve precise grout lines and a professional finish, making your overall project look polished and well executed. As we lay these few rows, you may have noticed that we lifted and reset a few tiles. We do this whenever the tile does not sit perfectly flush on all sides. Don't be afraid to pull up tiles and add or remove mortar to achieve a perfectly flat result. This also allows you to check the mortar coverage and ensure you're getting at least 80% coverage in interior applications and 95% for exterior and wet environments. Continue laying as many rows of tiles as you can each day. If you need to stop at any point, it's perfectly fine. Just make sure you clean up any excess mortar around the last row you've completed. Insert spacers snugly to the side of the tile in the last row, maintaining a consistent grout line for the next row. This helps keep everything aligned and prevents the mortar from drying and causing issues. Also, by cleaning up the excess mortar and maintaining a tidy workspace, you're making it much easier to resume tiling the next day.
The next morning.
Carefully remove all the tile spacers and wedges, except for those around the last row. Removing these the next day helps to prevent them from getting stuck in the mortar, which could create a mess when it's time to grout. Now that the majority of full tiles are set, it's time to focus on the final details, particularly the cuts and fittings around edges, doors, and walls. Begin by carefully measuring and cutting the tiles needed for these specific areas. Place the cut tiles in the designed spots without applying any mortar. This is known as dry fitting. Dry fitting allows you to check the accuracy of your cuts and ensure that the tiles fit precisely into place. Make clear markings on each tile for reference and set them aside until you're ready to install them. Once you've completed the dry fitting and are satisfied with the layout, mix up a fresh batch of mortar according to the manufacturer's instructions. It's important to prepare only as much mortar as you can use within the working time recommended on the bag to avoid any wasted material. Begin laying the cut tile by applying mortar to the substrate and then back buttering each tile and carefully placing it into its designated spot. For cutting the tiles, use a wet saw for more complex or irregular cuts, such as those around doors and walls where the precision is crucial. The wet saw allows for a smooth, accurate cut and it helps avoid any chipping. For simpler straight cuts, tile snapper is an efficient and effective tool, especially for a quick clean cut along the edges. Ensure that each tile fits snugly and aligns perfectly with the rest of the installation. This attention to detail will ensure a seamless and professional finish. Once you finish laying all the tiles, allow them to set according to the manufacturer's instructions before proceeding to grout. It's critical to thoroughly check and clean the grout lines beforehand. Start by inspecting each line for any leftover mortar or debris. Use a grout rake or a painter's multi-tool to gently remove any excess mortar from the lines. This will ensure that the grout adheres properly and fills the line evenly. Be cautious during this process, as too much scraping can potentially chip the tile depending on their type. When applying grout to large format tiles, lines, it's advisable to work in manageable sections. For a large area, divide the space into smaller, more manageable sections that you can complete within a short time frame, typically around 30 minutes. This prevents the grout from setting before you have a chance to properly spread it and smooth out the grout lines. Begin by mixing the grout according to the instructions on the packaging, ensuring it has a smooth, creamy consistency. Apply the grout using a rubber grout float, pressing it firmly into the grout lines and working it diagonally across the tile to ensure full coverage and removal of excess grout from the surface. After applying grout to each section, let it sit for a recommended time per manufacturer's instructions, usually about 15-30 minutes, until it begins to set but not fully harden. Once the grout has started to set, use a clean bucket of water and a damp sponge to clean the tile surface. Wipe the sponge across the tile in a diagonal motion to remove grout haze, and be careful not to drag out the lines. You may need to frequently rinse the sponge and change the water to keep it clean. It's common to repeat this cleaning process a few times. After the initial cleaning, let the grout cure as per the packaging instructions, generally 24 hours before walking on. Once cured, inspect the grout lines again for any residual haze. If necessary, use the grout haze remover or a clean damp cloth to wipe away any remaining residue. Allow the surface to dry completely. By carefully following these steps, you will achieve a professional look and finish with the clean, even grout lines and a beautiful polished tile surface. And there you have it, your guide to laying large format tile from start to finish. With a careful preparation and attention to detail, you'll transform any room into a beautiful tiled space. Thank you for joining us for this tile journey.
Remember, your support and engagement means the world to us. We appreciate every comment, like, and share as they help us grow and continue to provide this helpful content. If you want to see more of our renovation, here are the videos you should watch next. Take care of yourself, your family, and have a great day.